Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Wednesday edition of the JP Peterson Show on this Thanksgiving week. Got a special show for you today. We're going to look at the college rivalry games of this weekend, especially here in the state of Florida. Take a good hard look at FSU, Florida, coming up on Friday night at Doak Campbell Stadium at 7:30. That'll be prime time. We'll take a look at USF-UCF coming up this weekend as well, and the college football playoff. And we'll catch you up on some of the coaching changes, including the search at USF for a new head football coach. So I bring in my good friend Nick Geddes from Outsider.com, and happy Thanksgiving to you, my friend.
Yes, you as well. It's a big week of college football. I just love rivalry week.
It is. It's the best. It's the best of college football.
Anything could happen. I mean, we probably have like a 30-point spread in Alabama and Auburn in the Iron Bowl, and we still could tell you that Auburn probably could win because it's just cuz. So I'm expecting the same thing in these games here in the state of Florida.
Yeah, and Florida State is a 9.5-point favorite over Florida for this game in Tallahassee, which is interesting because in these rivalry games, they're usually pretty close. And I would think that, but this one is a hard one kind of to handicap for me because Florida State has played so well lately. They've won 4 consecutive games by over 20 points. That's the first time they've done that since the 2013 season when they won the national championship. FSU is one of 4 teams that are ranked in the top 20 in offensive and defensive efficiency. Their numbers suggest that their record should be actually better than it is at 8-3. I think they're at a point now with Fabian Lovett and Jared Verse back on defense, 3 guys that they really didn't have during the 3-game stretch against Wake Forest and Clemson and NC State where they lost those 3 games. And they're just a better football team right now. And there's an outside shot if Clemson gets into the playoff, which we'll talk about later, that they could actually even go to the Orange Bowl as the highest ranked ACC team outside of the playoff. So Florida State is on a roll. There's no question about that. But Florida's a little harder to figure out. Because they're coming off a loss to Vanderbilt, which I think they've lost to Vanderbilt 3 times in the last 25, 30 years. Vanderbilt is better. There's no question about that. But they go on the road and lose to a Vanderbilt team. Anthony Richardson throws for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, and they still lose to Vanderbilt. Then you look at the South Carolina game, which they absolutely dominated. They went toe-to-toe with Tennessee, went toe-to-toe with LSU. I mean, some of the better teams in the country they've gone toe-to-toe with. And then you lose to Vanderbilt. It's been a very, very inconsistent team. And as we look at the matchups on this as well, it's not a great matchup for Florida because they cannot stop the run. And FSU is one of the best running football teams in America. So this one for me, is really hard to handicap. On the outside, I really feel like Florida State can just turn around and hand the ball off, and they're going to win the game. But it doesn't always happen that way when you've got 2 teams that are so hated rivals. They're hated rivals because guys just tend to play better in those situations. Young guys tend to rise up and play better. So I think it's a hard one to handicap.
Yeah, it is. But for Florida, I still think, though, rivalry game withstanding, it's a tough matchup for them. And you're trying to find what's the avenue to victory for Florida. And it's going to, again, it kind of rests on the shoulders of Anthony Richardson, right? Because as it has really all year, it's going to take a great Anthony Richardson. And I think we've gotten that the last, I'd say, 4 or 5 games or so. Yeah. I think probably since the Tennessee game, I think Anthony Richardson has actually played some damn good football with a limited cast around him. And we've been talking about, who's he throwing to all week? And, I was reminded in the Vanderbilt game, because all the injuries and the portals and stuff like that, how about true freshman Deion Reynolds at 165 yards and 2 scores against Vanderbilt as a true freshman? So clearly he's having to step up here. Justin Shorter is still there. We know Montrell Johnson can run the football, and so can Trevor Etienne. Those guys are no joke. So they have talent on the offense. We've figured that out. But then again, you look at the FSU defense right now. I mean, playing at I'd argue, a top 5 clip in the country right now.
Absolutely. I think they're actually ranked defensive efficiency 11 right now.
Yeah, and they probably would have shut out Louisiana if they kept in all the starters all game. Yeah. The 17 points there, don't be fooled by that one. So I just think Florida State is playing at too high a level right now at this time of the year, and they seem motivated to get into a really good bowl game.
Yeah, and Mike Norvell, I think, is a phenomenal job at Florida State, and it's taken time though. This is his third year, and you go back to last year, they lost to Jacksonville State for God's sakes, but you still saw progress, and this year has been marked progress. It's just remarkable from the very get-go. I take it back to the beginning of the season when I went to the LSU-FSU game, and we had great seats, like 20 rows up, so I really got a great feel for how FSU was along the offensive and defensive lines, because that's really been the problem for them for so long. And defensively, they were dominant over LSU. LSU could not move the football on the ground at all. Jaden Daniels, at that point, it was his first game, obviously, with LSU. He had not become the quarterback he had become, but you could see how dangerous he was late in the game when he got loose for a couple of scrambles. And that was the only offense they had. And it was just him, breaking plays and getting outside. They could do nothing against that Florida State defense, mostly because of the defensive line. And the offensive line just dominated as well against LSU and opening up humongous holes. And the three-headed monster of Trayshawn Ward and Teofili and your boy Trey Benson has been unstoppable this year. I mean, FSU leads the nation in explosive plays. So this is the old FSU offense except the old FSU offense I thought was more predicated on the pass. This is more predicated on the run. And Jordan Travis has done a phenomenal job he doesn't run as much this year because he doesn't have to. He's got three backs that I think are going to play on Sunday, and those guys that I mentioned. And it's the easiest thing, as Warren Sapp used to say, the easiest thing just to turn around and hand off the ball. And that's what the Noles do well. And that's what the Gators don't do well.
Yeah.
They cannot stop the run.
And also too, let's remind everybody that they're going to play the first half without Ventrell Miller.
That's right.
Who was suspended from the targeting penalty. Now we can debate that penalty all we want.
There's no debate on that penalty.
Yeah.
It was egregious. It was egregious. Gator fans will disappoint. Will disagree. Come on, you got to be up. I mean, listen, all targeting calls. We who grew up in football, we look at these things and go, this is something new to the game. But I get it, and it needs to be taken out of the game. And you don't have to do that. That was a headshot on a headshot. That was textbook targeting, and that's the stuff that needs to be taken out of the game. So come on.
Yeah, but he's not there though, and that is a big thing. We saw the Florida defense with him. It's a little bit better than when he's not there, but when it's not there, forget about it. This defense is just kind of toast, and but doesn't lack in confidence, because here was Anthony Richardson. I want to play this here. This was a quick little soundbite from him this week talking about the Gators, and get your reaction to this one.
Yeah.
Try to focus on winning the game, and when we win this one, it's definitely going to build momentum for us.
Caught that one, didn't you?
When you win this
one,
it's going to be a momentum for you?
Yep.
Yeah. Momentum from the Vanderbilt loss going into your Boca Bowl with the 40-point loss to your rival. Yeah, that's going to be some momentum. It's not the momentum you're looking for, Anthony Richardson, but it's momentum. I hate to be obnoxious and Seminole fan when I do that. We're trying to be objective here. And I do think the Gators have, of course, when you beat a team like South Carolina, like they did, who then turns around and beats Tennessee, when you go toe-to-toe with all these great teams that I'm talking about, of course you can stand up and play against Florida State. Of course you can.
Yeah.
Will you?
No.
Will you in this spot? And that's the question. Now, Billy Napier, after this loss to Vanderbilt, there's some heat on him. Unfounded, in my opinion. Yep. It's way too early for that. If you're a Gator fan, look at his recruiting class, ranked 8th in the nation. I mean, that's what you should be focused on if you're a Gator fan. This is a transition. Mike Norvell went through it. All good coaches go through this. They have to weed out the guys that aren't part of the program and get in the guys that are.
And if you win the season, let's say 7-6 or 6-6, in this case, if you lose to Florida State, if that's the first year under a rebuild, I mean, you could be a lot worse.
Yeah. Come
on. You could be a lot worse. We saw Florida State. Florida knows it. They've won 4 games before in the middle of rebuilds with Muschamp, with McElwain. How many games did they win last year? 4, right? 4 or 5?
Yeah, 5, I think. Yeah,
I think it was 5 because they got into
they tanked at the end of the season.
Yeah, they tanked the end of the season, and UCF got them in the bowl game. So
beat FSU.
beat it. There you go. They were good
Yep.
enough to beat FSU.
Yep.
So you could be in a lot worse spot. So I don't agree with any of the Billy Napier stuff whatsoever. I just came across this video. I have not listened to it yet, but I watched it, and it looks like something that could get you excited right here for this game.
Is this the Knoll hype video?
From a Florida State standpoint, yeah. This is a
Well,
Knoll hype video right here.
If you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see it, I think.
Yep, so I'm going to get it up here.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I love hype videos.
I love these little hype videos.
Oh, love them.
So let's see what we got here.
Seminole
lesson, it prepares you for this one.
Florida Gators come onto the field.
He's got Omar Ellison out there. He makes the catch for the 40. He makes the 5 seconds left.
This week that's up ahead, everything that you've done, everything that you invested,
It's intercepted. Picked off by Harris on the 5-yard line.
and it's every action that we have from now until Friday night to put ourselves in the best position.
Francois threads a needle and finds touchdown. Florida State. On the take, and the Knolls will beat the Gators again.
We have to earn it. We have to earn it. Lesson.
Pound the rock.
Woo.
Chills.
I
Gives
did
me
get
chills.
I did get chills. I saw that, and then I saw that Florida and Florida State played each other 12 times in the 90s, and every single meeting they were both ranked in the top 10.
Whew,
And
I
I'm just
remember
like,
every one of those games.
how far did we come? But at the same time, though, this is probably the best matchup that we've had in at least 5 years. I think it's the first one in 5 years that both teams are over 500.
I covered every one of those games, and I've been to some doozies. I was there at '93 when Warwick Dunn went up the sideline on that catch from Charlie Ward. Never forget that. That place, that place was so crazy. Jack Jackson had made a catch in the corner of the end zone, a bobbling catch. And Florida, FSU had them down. They were done. They beat the crap out of them in the first half. But Florida hung in there, and they came back. And I think it was maybe a 4-point game at that time. 3rd down. The place was as loud as I've ever heard it. You couldn't talk to the guy right next to you. And Charlie got flushed out of the pocket to his left and flipped it up to Warwick Dunn on the dead run. And maybe a little block in the back at that particular time from a Florida State guy, no question. And he went down the sideline, and that was probably my best memory of a Florida State game, because all you could hear was just this little celebration of the band and the FSU fans in the corner where Warwick was running down that way, and game over.
I'd like to say that
Game over.
I have better ones, but when I was a kid, that was when Tebow was there.
Oh.
Those were not fun days. I remember Tebow in the mud. It was in like 08 or 09.
Yeah.
That was not fun.
No, it was a beatdown.
I think I remember the Jameis, Kelvin Benjamin, the blowout in 2013.
Yes,
2014 was a little dicey, but we had the Nick O'Leary catch in the back of the end zone to win it.
Yes.
So maybe that one sticks out. Dalvin Cook dominated, I think, in 2016 against Florida. So
the Chris Ricks throw to PK Sam, I'll never forget, at Florida Field. I think Chris Ricks threw that ball, I think, almost 70 yards in the air. And I forget who the safety was. He went on to play in the NFL, but he just didn't think he could throw it that far. I'm convinced of that. And he let that thing rip, and that was an incredible finish. Of course, I always remember this. And then there's one I do remember very well. It was my senior year, 1986. And while I was there in school, we never beat the Gators. And 1986, we had a great football team. And Sammy Smith ran for about an 80-yard touchdown run. It was called back. So that was justice, I guess. The no call in 93 was justice for that. And then Dedrick Dodge was the safety, and I think it was Ricky Natil from Kerwin Bell over the middle. In the driving rain, I'm just sitting there in the driving rain, just hoping one time in my Seminole student life I'm going to beat the Gators. And God, that was a gut punch. That was I can remember it like I'm watching it right now. Gut punch. But that's what these rivalry games are all about. They fill you with so much drama and adrenaline that it's the best of sports to me. College football rivalries are the best of sports. And when I'm there on Friday night with my son and my daughter, who grew up going to FSU games with me, and we're going to be sitting in Doak Campbell Stadium. It's going to be packed to the gills. Tickets are hard to come by. Friday night, Thanksgiving, under the lights. And, Chief Osceola comes out on Renegade. Now, for most games, he's on the horse. He throws the spear down, right? That means in the Seminole lexicon back in the day, the history, that's how they started their war games. So when they did their war games, that's, their Olympics or whatever it was, among tribes, that's how they did it. When Chief Osceola gets off the horse and holds up the spear all the way around and then plants it, that means we're going to war. That means we're going to war. There's no war games. This is for real. My guess is Chief Osceola is getting off the horse on Saturday night, and he's going to throw that spear down, and that place is going to be up for grabs.
I'm getting chills right now.
I cannot wait. Oh, and then he's going to turn around and hand it off to Trayshawn Ward or Trey Benson, who's going to go 80.
80?
I'm sorry, 75. Whatever it is. Cannot wait. Cannot wait. And, and Gator fans, imagine, like, you guys are going to, some that are going to be there watching, as tough a season as this has been for Gator fans, can you imagine them going into Doak Campbell Stadium and beating a high-rolling Florida State team right now? I mean, it's not going to be like back in the day when you get, but it's still to finish on that note, like Anthony Richardson said, what a huge shot in the arm for that program if they can do that.
And also from a recruiting standpoint.
All the FSU stuff they've heard already just negates it all.
And from a recruiting standpoint, I know like a lot of FSU home games have been this year. There's going to be a lot of recruits in town, probably a lot of undecided guys. And we know Florida has the upper hand in the recruiting battle, and this would be another shot for them, for Florida State, that is, if they drop this one. And I think I will say this about Florida State. We have talked about it. They got the win over LSU. Now LSU has evolved and has turned into a top 10 team in the nation, right?
Yep.
But it's a valid thing that the other teams that Florida State has played that are the better ones, they have struggled. Now, there were reasons, no Lovett, no Verse. Things have changed since then. Florida State has evolved as well. But I still think there is pressure on there going against, I think Florida. Are they a better 6-5 team maybe than some I've seen? A little bit. I think they're a tougher opponent in the grand scheme than what Florida State has beaten the last 4 weeks, honestly, especially given the rivalry.
Oh, yeah.
So I think there's a little pressure on them there, and also to beat Florida because they didn't beat them last year.
I would agree. Totally. FSU is going to have to play one of their better games because this is the team. We're not going to see the Vanderbilt team. We're not going to see that team.
Nope.
You're going to see the team, the LSU team, the Utah team. You're going to see the best of what Florida has to offer.
Yeah.
And I think, if I had to bet this game at 9.5, I would take Florida all day long.
I would too. I don't think this is going to be a Miami thing for Florida State.
No,
the Miami team is just really bad.
Yeah.
I think Florida's still light years better than Miami, so I don't think we're going to have a 45-3 on our hands here at all.
No, I don't think so either. I would love to see that if there's an FSU.
Talk about making a statement.
Yeah, but I don't think that. I don't think that. I do think they'll be able to run the football, but and I've mentioned this a lot this year. Mike Norvell, as much as I love him as a program builder and a game week coach, game plans are solid. Everything is solid. Special teams really good. His game day management has been, I think, was crucial in losing those games to Wake Forest, NC State, and Clemson. I don't think he made the necessary adjustments. Too many stupid trick plays, too much, risky going for it on fourth down instead of taking field goals in certain situations, stupid calls in the red zone. And for the most part, I think he's cleaned that up in the last 4 games. It just seems to me, and maybe just because they're winning and they're having more success, but it just seems to me he's cleaned that up. I don't know. It's the chicken and the egg thing. We'll see with, against a more quality opponent, how that works out. But I tend to think that he's gotten over that a little bit, whereas that Memphis coaching standpoint that you have to constantly take risks and gambles that are outside of what you need to do if you have a good football team and you have the other team outmanned. And that's his situation right now. He has built this team back up so where he has an advantage now, and they are outmanned. These other teams are playing. So, play to your strengths, and we'll see how it goes down. Speaking of Mike Norvell, he spoke to the media this week about this rivalry game. And, for the most part, FSU is healthy. They're as healthy as they've been all year, should have most of their weapons. But here's Mike Norvell earlier in the week talking about the matchup against Florida.
And I thought today was a good work day. Thought our guys came out with the right mindset. With the shorter week, here late in the season, we took, took some adjustments to the schedule just a little bit. About five minutes less of practice time, but I thought we got good speed. Guys were flying around. Still had some good competitive opportunities, and I thought today was a good day. So we're proud of the guys for their approach. Still some details we got to clean up, some things we got to make sure that we're on point with as we get closer to game day. Yeah, we're expecting both of them to be available.
Louisiana, does it run a similar type of?
Oh, it's unique how things played out with the schedule. Obviously there's some similarities. Last week and things that just offensively and defensively that are going to carry over. And I'm sure they've talked to the coaches at Louisiana and the way of attack. Anything that they gain from the game, that they're probably going to pass along. So we're aware of that, and we had a plan and have a plan for it. So.
All right, he was asked about Louisiana last week. Obviously, Billy Napier coached at Louisiana last year. They're using the same systems that he left there, and obviously, playing Napier this week, it's the same thing. So that is, yep. I would say that's a huge advantage because it's like you're playing the same team from a scheme standpoint. Now, the personnel obviously changes and the way they run it changes because of the personnel, but. Yeah, that's a huge advantage for FSU.
I like to think, though, that Billy Napier is not going to – I think he's too smart to know that, and I think there might be some changes to some things.
But it's the mechanics of it.
Yeah, it's mechanics, and maybe it's a little hard to do all that in, 6 days of prep, or not even 6 days, actually a short week.
If he tries to change something, that would not be a good idea. Because then you start getting into, you're out thinking yourself there.
Yeah,
it still comes down to execution, and, I think he would – I hope he does. Hope he tries to change the whole offense. That's not going to work out very well.
All good.
We've seen West Coast out here the last few days. Is there hope you might be able to practice a little more in the bowl leading up, but maybe be a little available for that game?
He's going through his rehabilitation process, and we're not sure on the clearance of all those things. But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I didn't hear
it's a special group, a group that had experienced a lot of change. There were good times and there were some real challenges that they had to work through and overcome. Over the last few years, and I'm just grateful for them. The experience that they have gained is something that's going to change the rest of their lives, because no matter what comes up and throughout their lives of being men, being your husbands, being fathers, working in the real world, whether it's in the National Football League or you'll get a job beyond that, they're going to have confidence that they can overcome all things. And this has been a group that will be remembered and needs to be remembered for what they've done and the just the consistency that they've shown in trying to get better and being better, and then being able to get this program back on track to where we need to be heading. And they played a critical role in that, and they had to make the choice. There's a lot of decisions that they could have made that would have taken probably a much easier path. But when you grow through it, you can prove you can get through it, and they've done that.
A couple of guys at least have been through 3 different coaching staffs.
It's remarkable. It's not something that anybody when they choose a school that they think is even going to happen, but it did. And you take. I remember my first year here. There had been 3 head coaches and I want to say 8 different coordinators in a couple of year period of time. That's hard on any individual. You think about that much change, and these guys, they stuck through, and we tried to be as consistent as we could be as a coaching staff. Setting a standard. Being able for them to understand the values of what we were going to live by and the identity of what we want for this football team. And what I love is it's now theirs. They're the ones that we talk about. We talk about the standard. We set the expectation for what that is. They live it out. And when newcomers come into the program, high school freshmen, whatever, transfers. They're a part of helping bring them along. And I think that's why we're seeing some of these guys that have been able to come in and achieve, because it's not just waiting on hearing a coach say something. They also have players that believe it and are doing a great job leading in it.
Yeah, 3 head coaches. You wouldn't expect there to be a lot of guys remaining from that senior class, and there really isn't. The notable one, like Keyshawn Helton, has made it the entire way, and he was with Jimbo Fisher before. Robert Cooper in the defensive line has been here for a long time, and Cameron McDonald at tight end. So I think those are the 3 big seniors that, again, have had 3 different head coaches and all those coordinators.
Sticking through. That's good. They're all enjoying. Well, Keyshawn's kind of an afterthought now, but it does speak. I mean, he was what wide receiver
he was
one
wide receiver 1 last year.
and he can't even crack the top 6.
And if I recall, he was a very low level recruit under Jimbo Fisher.
I thought he was higher.
I thought he was very low, and they had to go to him, Pokey. They had to go to him in that 2018 season when things were tough under Taggart, and he ended up, outlasting everybody else that was in that class.
Yeah, those guys deserve some type of award, medal, trophy, something, whatever. But they stuck it through, and good for them. I want to listen to the rest of here. Mike Norvell here.
Coach, what will your schedule look like on Thursday for the players?
It's going to be as normal of a Friday as we can. Today's a Wednesday for us, and so we're going to stay on track. For it, we'll have morning, our morning practice. Then guys will have the afternoon. Basically lunch afternoon. And there's going to be some coaches that you're going to have players to their house for Thanksgiving. Then on Thursday night, we actually will what is our normal night before team dinner or travel dinner. We're just going to have the whole team there, and so they can all take a part of of our victory walk with the past players. They can all be a part of that dinner that night, and then we'll head into game day. So,
what was the reaction when the game got moved to Friday, and how do you like that?
Well, I mean, it got brought up. I want to say, I can't remember. I mean, maybe early summer or late spring of the possibility. And, this game is a game that deserves attention. It's a game that deserves the recognition, for what it stands for, what it means. So, to be on Friday night, national television, I love it. I mean, it's, I think, it's a grand stage for a grand game. And, we're definitely honored to be able to take part of it, and, just looking forward to the atmosphere. I think our fan base is pretty fired up to have this one at home.
Coach Atkins was one of the 15 announced as a semi-finalist for the Royals Award. Just what has he done this year that just really kind of stood out?
I mean, it's just great leadership. I mean, all the things that he does and brings from a technique, fundamental, development with his players, with this offense. I mean, he is, he's been remarkable, and we've got. Seen all of our. I mean, you look at the three phases of the game. I mean, all those guys are deserving. What Adams and the defensive staff has done. John JP and the job he's done with special teams. I mean, all of them have done a great job. I mean, Alex has. He has done just a remarkable job with that room, and now taking on a bigger role with the offense in general. You see his impact, and I'm just so happy for him and that he's getting that recognition because it's definitely well earned and well deserved.
As Mike Norvell talking about this week's game with Florida, actually mostly about FSU and some of the household stuff going on there, but. It's a big rivalry. He knows it. Everybody knows it. And I do think it's great that it's going to be in prime time on Friday night, and everybody will be jacked up to watch it. And I hope it's a good game. I hope it gets a good rating. By the way, big news off the field for the Seminoles this week. 4-star quarterback Brock Glenn flipped from Ohio State to Florida State. It's a big deal. So the class of 23, which is, I believe, ranked 15th now in the nation, has their quarterback in Brock Glenn. Of course, A.J. Duffy's still there, waiting in line after Jordan Travis. Will Jordan come back for his senior season? I think he will.
Jordan's got more eligibility, right? One more year?
Let's go one more year. I think he'll come back. I think he'll come back. It'll be interesting to see who joins him in the receiving corps because if Jordan comes back, they have a legitimate chance to win the ACC, which to me was about 3 or 4 years away. And for it to be this close, that's a hell of a prospect, but recruiting going well for Florida State as well. All right, we will take our first break. We got lots more to come in this special edition of our Thanksgiving Wednesday show. We're going to look at the USF-UCF matchup, the USF coaching search. We'll also take a look at the other big rivalry games coming up this weekend as well. So our college football Thanksgiving special rolls on right after this. Brady here for the Jeeves Law Group. I've known Scott Jeeves for quite some time, and he's just like us, a huge college football fan. He loves his Gators. In fact, he sponsors our Gator Report every Thursday at 11 o'clock with Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. But he's not just another PI attorney. He is a ferocious advocate for his clients. Scott Jeeves is board circuit court mediator practicing in Tampa Bay for over 30 years. He is an AV preeminent rated civil trial lawyer and certified circuit court mediator. Folks, these designations are not just given out. They're given only to the best trial attorneys. But more than anything, Scott takes these cases personally. I've heard it from his clients. He's a fighter you want on your side. Insurance companies hate it when they see you're represented by Jeeves. He's just different. 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell him JP sent you.
Guys, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. Do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling.
Now is the time to make sure your home insurance is in order. In the last year, many of us have made improvements to our homes. So call the folks at Italiano and discuss these upgrades to make sure you have enough coverage. According to a recent report, almost 64% of homeowners don't have enough insurance on their home, which is their most valuable asset. Also, a great time to make sure you have flood insurance. Even if your mortgage company does not require flood insurance, your home could still be at flood risk. Another big item as we enter hurricane season is making sure your pool enclosure is added to your policy and there will be no issue at claim time. That happens a lot. So call your friendly agent at Italiano Insurance to review your policies today. 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com. Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, one unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to our special edition of our Thanksgiving week college football preview. Boy, I botched that. What I'm saying is our college football special presentation for this Wednesday of Thanksgiving week. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to hop right into the UCF-USF matchup, which I'm looking at some of the numbers on this, my friend, and boy, if you are a USF fan, it's ugly. Like, these numbers are like horrifically ugly. I'll just run some of them down. First of all, they're a 20-point underdog, 19.5-point underdog to their rival UCF. This game's, by the way, 7 o'clock. You can head on over there to Raymond James Stadium. Good seats still available. Will UCF bring a crowd? What kind of crowd do you think we're going to have here?
I mean, I told you I think UCF's going to outnumber USF fans.
I don't think there's any question.
I think the loss to Navy, I'm interested to see how much juice these fans have and how many people make the trip, because there was a lot on riding on this game before the loss to Navy, but I still think there's going to be a pretty good sized crowd here.
Mostly UCF, which is going to be embarrassing. 7 o'clock at Raymond James Stadium, ESPN2 on Saturday night. So if you're inclined to head on over there,
I'll be there.
You're going to go. Okay, cool.
I will be there.
South Florida's defense is a bottom 25 unit, allowing 514 total yards per game, which ranks the worst in FBS.
Ooh.
On offense, it ranks 67th with 386 total yards per game, and ranks 77th in points per game at 27 points per game. That's 77th. Not good. Against the pass, they are the 4th worst, giving up almost 300 yards per game. I mean, they are just the worst at everything. It's really, really bad. The good news is Byron Brown, their new quarterback, who took over for Catravius March, who got knocked out and had neck surgery, by the way, and we're told is doing well. So we wish him the best. But Byron Brown shows up against Tulsa, completes his first, 18 passes?
Yep.
I mean, it was just unbelievable. Will Turner from 247 Bulls came on and said he loved this kid as a recruit, went to see him play twice in high school. I mean, he went over 5,000 yards his senior season in combined offense. Dude has got talent. I mean, where has this kid been hiding? Unbelievable.
The 3rd quarterback on the depth chart the entire season, and 4th if Timmy McClain would have stayed. It's kind of hard to believe, but yeah, he came out guns a-blazing against Tulsa, and he had a connection with Sean Atkins, which is a name we haven't said much this year on this program. I mean, all of a sudden, just and not to say the offense has been, I know the numbers may not justify it, but I think the offense has had times this year where they've really been good. But
Brian Battie has been fantastic.
Brian Battie has been fantastic, over 1,000 yards, given the tough nature of the season. He's been great.
Behind that line, my God.
Behind that line, the talent around them. But, it's a 1-win football team. And you mentioned the defense, the worst in the country. And until the debacle last week against Navy, UCF had a top 5 offense in the nation. And now that number dropped to 13, but still, I mean, averaging almost 500 yards at offense themselves. They can score points at will. They're going to go fast. And I don't know, that's going to be my thing. Can USF keep up on defense with the fast nature?
No, they can't. There's no way they can't keep up. They're going to light up the score.
And I really don't even know who's going to play for quarterback for UCF this week. I have no idea. We're flip-flopping quarterbacks right now. I know Gus says if John Rice Plumlee's healthy, he's going to be the guy, but they went to Mikey Keene at halftime when the offense sucked in the first half. Conveniently, Gus says after, he had a sore shoulder. I'm not buying that right now. I'm really not. So who knows even who's going to be quarterback? And it changes how UCF plays, by the way, whoever the quarterback is, completely.
Well, that's not good.
You're either going to get the runner in Plumlee, or you're going to get
a hell of a runner.
Wow. Or you're going to get the drop back passer in Mikey Keene. So it's going to, and I'm sure Gus is going to keep that close to his chest, though.
I'm going to go ahead and say whoever plays, though, is going to have a big day. Going to have a really big day. Big night.
Well, maybe, but I think this game has a lot more intrigue now that UCF lost to Navy. I do. I think,
USF, markedly, they've played better since they got rid of Jeff Scott.
Yes, and they've played better against the good teams they faced, and they've just come a few plays away. But against your rival, this is the last time these two teams are going to play in the AAC, and the last time they're going to play for the foreseeable future, as far as I'm concerned. The all-time, which is dumb. The all-time record between these two teams, 7-6 in favor of UCF, so you have a chance to tie it up before you don't see each other for a while.
Why would they not schedule in the non-conference? You have so few games, especially USF, that actually draw a crowd. And this one will draw a crowd. You'll actually have ticket-paying customers. Why would you not put that in your non-conference schedule every single year? It just makes hopefully they have that in their future plans, because expansion kind of screws up the schedules. But, my God, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah, I hate to see this game go away because, it's a staple. This game, there's been so many good, like we talked a lot in the last segment about Florida and Florida State, all the great games. There's been some really good games between these two teams, in the last handful of years.
That 2018 game with Quentin Flowers.
It's one of the greatest college games I've ever
seen.
seen.
I went to that game. It's the only game I've ever been to in the Bounce House. Oh, my God, what a game.
One of the greatest games ever.
That was incredible. Back and forth. And then at the end of the game, the USF takes the lead on an incredible drive by Quentin Flowers. And then UCF ran the kickoff.
Yeah, Mike Hughes.
With like 2 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
And then USF goes back down the field and almost scored the game winner. I forget how the game ended, but that game was one of the greatest games I've ever seen played.
And to tell you what, even last year when UCF still had a lot to play for and was a much better team than USF, it was in Bounce House. Let's not forget, USF went in there with Timmy McClain at quarterback, and they almost beat UCF. It went down to the last play of the game, if you recall.
I do not recall.
It was like 25-21 was how it ended, and they got all the way down to like the 5-yard line, and they just weren't able to get it in.
Yes. Yeah, and you fast forward, Jeff Scott is fired.
Yep.
Timmy McClain is gone. Gary Buchanan comes in. I mean, it just, it's been a rough ride for USF, and now they got to fix it with the coaching change. Who's it going to be? We'll talk about that next. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, the rumors are out there. Prime time, Deion Sanders coming to USF. Wow, you want to talk about relevancy? We'll talk about that. We are brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo and his group over there. If you're looking for testosterone replacement therapy, to get a diet, an exercise plan, everything is done personally for you. It's not just write your script, get you out the door. They take time with you and get your health right. That's BAMMC.com. And we're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. If your car has been totaled in an accident, you did not get the money you think you should have gotten, which probably happened. They do that a lot. You have a case. Free call, Jeeves Law Group. Go to jeeveslawgroup.com. Give them a call. Tell them JP sent you and find out if you have a case. Back in 3 with the USF coaching search. Stay with us. Was your car totaled in an accident? Did your insurance company use Kelley Blue Book or NADA to appraise the value of your car? Chances are they didn't, and you got shorted maybe thousands of dollars. Call the Jeeves Law Group for a free case evaluation because your insurance company may still owe you money. 727-894-2929. It's a free call, so why not find out if you have a case? Insurance companies have been running this scam for a while, and most folks don't know if they've been shorted. Trust me. Scott Jeeves is a different kind of attorney, the kind insurance companies hate to go up against. He could recover thousands of dollars, so why not call? 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell them JP sent you.
JP here for Emerging Investigations, Tampa Bay's premier investigation agency. Do you suspect your spouse is cheating or involved in a divorce, that your spouse is hiding money, an ex-employee or current employee with suspicious behavior? Is there a criminal matter you need help with? If you need information you can count on, using the professionals at Emerging Investigations is a slam dunk. Emerging Investigations is a licensed and insured private investigation agency, family-owned. Emerging is your ideal resource to secure evidence and validation, allowing you to make informed decisions in life's biggest matters. Led by industry executive Brian D'Antonio, Emerging possesses the experience and resources to get needed results. Emerging Investigations maintains an excellent reputation as a premier investigation agency. They are known for results. You're not just hiring a PI, but an organized, dedicated team using state-of-the-art technology. Their proven investigative methods produce crucial information used in criminal cases, insurance fraud, and personal injury claims. Many local attorneys, industry agencies, and your concerned neighbors all count on Emerging Investigations. Just go to their website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's 813-291-FACT-3228. Get results you can trust in life's biggest matters. Emerging Investigations.
It's that time of the year to renew or shop your health insurance provider, and you can get great health insurance for $20, $30, $50 a month. Just call 844-310-9961 to help navigate the health insurance marketplace. 1 out of 3 people in Florida are uncovered because they think they can't afford it. It's not true. I made the call a couple of years ago, and they helped me get Blue Cross Blue Shield coverage, Florida Blue, for just $20 a month. Last year, it went up to $49. Are you kidding me? It all depends on your income and family situation. It's a free call,
844-310-9961. They will ask for some income information, and the highly trained reps will do the work to find out what your subsidy will be. 844-310-9961. And if you have a plan through your employer, you may be able to get it cheaper here. It's a free call, folks, and this has been a lifesaver for me and saved me thousands of dollars over the last few years. And you could choose your plan. That's 844-310-9961. Get covered like me and thousands of others and save thousands. 844-310-9961.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to our Thanksgiving edition of the JP Peterson Show here on this Wednesday as we're looking ahead to the rivalry weekend. We're going to look ahead to some of the big games in college football coming up this weekend in our last segment. But right now, we're going to focus on the USF coaching search and some of the other coaching searches going on out there. The big name this week brought up in USF circles was Prime Time. Coach Prime at Jackson State has talked to USF. I can confirm that. Those reports have been out there. Prime is also talking to Colorado. It's my personal opinion that neither one of these openings are something that I think he's seriously looking at, but I could be dead wrong. We talked a little bit about this on yesterday's show. I think, if you're a USF fan, Deion Sanders would be a godsend to your program, an absolute godsend. And I know a lot of people are bitching about, well, he'll just stay here 2 years, a year, and move on. Like, who cares? Make your team relevant again. And whatever players he leaves behind that he recruits, if so, thank God. I mean, I don't care if he's here for 30 minutes. You make that hire. You got to do it to make your program relevant again. And again, I don't think he just seems to have better options than me, but I can see him looking at it and going, I could take this program, to places it's never been before, and I could do it rather quickly because he'll bring in a lot of people in the transfer portal. You got a Super Bowl stadium to play in. You'll energize a fan base in a huge market. Lord knows what he would do. I mean, can you imagine people would actually want to go to these games? Coach Prime and all the promotion that he would do. He would bring in, as I mentioned, tons of great transfers. You'd immediately win. He'd be a favorite to win the conference, I think, with the transfers that he would bring in, because you got the good teams that are leaving the conference. I mean, he could look at it this way, as a stepping stone. Let me go there, win that conference, shake up the world, which he could do at USF. There's a lot of opportunity here without question.
Yep.
But I think he's going to have better opportunities.
It would increase his reputation as a program builder,
Yes.
doing what he's done at Jackson State. And I'm sure, we've talked about it a little bit there, kind of tongue in cheek about the facilities. They haven't changed and whatever. I'm sure a lot of things are going to be different. I'm sure there's a lot of money that's been brought into that program since he's gotten there. The same thing would happen for USF. I mean, and to your point, times 10. And to your point about all the fans who are concerned that he's only going to be here for a year or two, let me just break it down in a simple way. This state has some head coaches who are very notable: Mario Cristobal, Mike Norvell, Billy Napier, Gus Malzahn. Deion Sanders, to me, in my opinion, jumps right in front of every single one of those guys.
Absolutely.
In my opinion.
Not in terms of his accomplishments at a college level, obviously, but just in terms of notoriety and recruiting ability.
Recruiting ability, expected impact, all that stuff would happen here at USF.
Number one.
And that's, you want to win games, yes, but you have to take these steps to win games and also become a commodity. And listen, if he stays here for 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is, and you're winning 2 years and you're winning 10 games, 11 games or whatever, you know what? When we get to that time, then 2027 or whatever it is in the future, there's going to be head coaches who are going to go, okay, Deion, it was good enough for Deion. Look what he did there. It's good enough for me. And this is probably at that time, if all those things happen, USF's going to be on their way to a Power 5 conference bid or whatever happens in the future.
Absolutely. New stadium.
Yeah. New stadium, the practice facility, win some games, Deion, sell some tickets. You're going to go to the front of the line, like I've said on yesterday's show. Right now, you're not even close to a priority, I don't think.
And name another name that would do that to your program. You can't name. I mean, that's even realistic. I mean, there's nobody that you could name that would put you above everybody else. Boom.
No, and there's a lot of names that we've gone over, the Willie Simmons of the world, and I think the Alex Atkins thing from Florida State is intriguing, but these are all unproven commodity. Willie Simmons is I will say he is a more proven spot. He's been a head coach. He's here in the state of Florida. If you put a gun to my head, I would tell you right now that he's likely going to be the guy.
I would agree with that.
I think everybody would mostly agree with that. And I want USF fans, though, if that is the guy, okay, you got to back the head coach and you got to back the administration, because I think he would be a good hire.
He's 30-12 at FAMU, which the program was just absolutely in the dumps before he took it over. 6-2 start in 2022. Made the Division I AA playoffs with a 9-3 record, and it's their first appearance in 20 years. Last year, Tallahassee native. He was the head coach at Prairie View A&M for 3 years, where he went 21-11 and finished third or better in the SWAC play. 51-23 overall there, and Prairie, that place, nobody could win at that place. So he's rebuilt 2 different programs. Very charismatic guy, great leader. Young African American coach. I think he would be a great recruiter. I think it would be a nice hire for USF if they're. Now, there have been some other names bandied about. The John Gruden thing, there was interest from John Gruden without question. I know there was some informal meetings that went on with USF and John Gruden, but that seems to have passed. So I don't think that's going to – I definitely don't think it's not going to happen, because USF was not going to – I think they talked to him in deference to a lot of the boosters that were trying to get John in there. And I just didn't pass muster.
In my opinion, though, whatever offer you were maybe attempting or entertaining to put in John Gruden, whatever resources – I would throw it at all that and Deion Sanders and more in Deion's way, if you're really serious about turning this thing around.
If you're Michael Kelly, you find the money. I don't know what Prime's asking for. I don't know what the Prime price is, but the price went up. It is not yesterday's price. So no question about that. So where it stands right now, I think there hasn't been a lot of scuttlebutt of it. Alex Atkins from Florida State, I think, is a definite.
Well, we're getting closer to the deadline. I think they said Michael Kelly said December 5th. They want to have this. They want to have this nailed down
before the early signing period.
Yeah.
You need to have that done. So that's basically right after the UCF game, I think. So he's probably pretty much gone down the road of who he wants right now, and it's a matter of who he can get. So we shall see. All right, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to look at some of the other big rivalry games this weekend in college football. This is our Wednesday Thanksgiving show, college football rivalry week, and we'll be back right after this. Stay with us.
JP here for Italiano Insurance. If you've started a side hustle during COVID and the business has grown, well, you need business insurance, because if you get sued, you could lose all your personal wealth if you're not properly protected. That's right. Your home, your savings, everything could go. So get protected now. Call the great agents at Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799, and a real human will answer the phone and get you protected. If you haven't shopped your business insurance in a while, you could be overpaying by thousands. One customer had their golf buddy handling his business insurance, then called Italiano to shop it around, and they saved him $26,000 a year. Yeah. So call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Italiano Insurance, protecting all the pieces of your life for over 60 years. Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, 1 unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately, or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
Guys, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. Do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to our Thanksgiving edition of Rivalry Week here, college football. We took a look at the in-state games, and now we're going to take a look at some of the national games. I want to remind you, by the way, the health insurance marketplace is open for business. It's that time to renew your health insurance. So if you are looking for something new, call 844-310-9961. They will help you navigate the health insurance marketplace. I did this 3 years ago and got Blue Cross Blue Shield coverage, great coverage, Florida Blue, for $49 a month, folks. So you can just call up to find out what your subsidy will be from the marketplace. Depends on how much you make, how many kids you have. So have some of that information available if and when you call 844-310-9961. These highly trained reps will do the work for you to find out what your subsidy will be. And even if you have a health insurance plan through your employer and they're taking money out of your check, you may be able to find it cheaper at the health insurance marketplace, and great insurance that you can pick. Why not just find out? It's a free call. So find out what you can do. 844-310-9961. Whatever you're paying in health insurance, you could be paying dramatically less. So find out what the numbers are. A lot of the laws have changed. The different income levels have changed. And it's a great product. So 844-310-9961. Give them a call and tell them JP sent you. All right, some great rivalry games this weekend, and none bigger than number 3 Michigan at number 2 Ohio State. The odds makers have it as an 8.5-point game. And Ohio State is favored in this one. I tell you what, I got Michigan at 8.5 all day long in this one. The way Michigan has run the football. And the big game last year where they won, they finally beat Ohio State last year, shows me that they're on par with them. What do you think? By the way, tickets going for more than $1,000.
I don't think there's a single sporting event I'd ever pay that much money for, but I digress. You mentioned Michigan, they're running the football at an elite rate, but here's the thing. Is Blake Corum going to play? And if he does, which one are we getting? Because he injured his knee against Illinois.
I'm hearing that he's going to play, but again, how effective can
he be? without him in the game, they struggled against Illinois and really got out of there kind of by the skin of their teeth because they can't throw the ball. J.J. McCarthy, there's a reason why Michigan runs as much as they can because they don't have elite playmakers out wide. They don't have an elite player there at quarterback, and that's the difference with Ohio State. Even with the injuries to Jackson and Jigba, to Trevion Henderson, and some of the other running backs, they have more depth than Michigan. This game is at Ohio State. The first time this game's been at Ohio State since 2018, believe it or not. So the fans are going to be crazy. I think Ohio State, honestly, I'm going to take the points in Ohio State.
Really? Okay.
I do feel that.
We'll have a little wager.
And if Michigan loses, I don't want them in the damn playoff. Hell
no. And it is a little bit amazing that they've been able to go through this season without throwing the football. They're a Harbaugh team, hard-nosed, physical. I get it, but
they showed,
in the modern game,
they showed glimpses of it early in the season, but they were just running it so well with Blake Corum. I mean, and they run it. They know the defenses know they're going to run it, and they don't care. You can't stop it.
Yeah. Ohio State's got a better degree of athletes, though.
Yeah, and I can't wait to watch Marvin Harrison on the big stage here.
And that's a nooner on Saturday, big noon for that one. South Carolina is at number 9, Clemson. That's also a nooner on Saturday. South Carolina coming off 63-point game at Tennessee in a blowout win. Now they face a top 25 defense in Clemson. This game going for $464 if you want a ticket to that one. 400, yeah, that's a tough ticket in Clemson. Absolutely, yeah, it's a tough ticket, and South Carolina now feels like they can beat finally beat Big Brother with Spencer Rattler. I'm with you.
I don't have a lot of
I'm
confidence in South Carolina to put 2 games like that back to back. I don't.
All right, Oregon and Oregon State. That's a 3:30 on Saturday. Oregon can win this game and get to the Rose Bowl. The Beavers, love that name.
The Beavers
of Oregon State. They another one of my favorite T-shirts growing up that my dad got me in his travels, and I became an Oregon State fan just because of that. Yeah, Oregon State would love to get the upset here, but this one also going for $421 a ticket.
Oh my gosh, I thought the FSU Florida ticket was hard to get by.
Yeah, and that's only like $185.
Seriously.
Yeah. Notre Dame at USC.
Game of the week, in my opinion.
Great game. Notre Dame now 7-3 after their horrific start to the season. They're playing as good as anybody right now. USC 9-1. They're coming off a big win over UCLA in an incredible game there in the Rose Bowl. Lincoln Riley's got his team rolling. Caleb Williams is averaging close to 400 yards a game.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been a remarkable turnaround. Will this be the transfer portal poster child for the rest of college football days, that teams are just going to load up like this one season? I doubt it, but big game.
Lincoln Riley had the advantage at the fact that he came from Oklahoma, which had a lot of offensive pieces. You're not going to have a Caleb Williams in the transfer portal for crying out loud every single year.
True.
This guy is the number 1 overall pick next year. It's almost a shoo-in at this point. He's probably the Heisman front runner. If USC wins out, they're getting into the playoff as far as I'm concerned. They control their own destiny. Now, can they, in a 3-week span, with how awful their defense is, beat UCLA, Notre Dame, and in the Pac-12 championship get it done?
It's a lot.
That's a lot to ask from a team that I don't think is as talented as the quarterback.
All right, Auburn, Alabama. That's a 3:30 on Saturday. The Iron Bowl. Our good friend TJ Reeves.
Always a good watch.
That one. Carnell Cadillac Williams, the former Bucks running back and first-round pick, is the interim coach for Auburn. Alabama is almost a 20-point favorite in this game at home against Tuscaloosa. I don't give Auburn much chance in this game, but in the Iron Bowl, you just never know. You just never know. That's 7:30, I believe. What other games? NC State at North Carolina. Carolina's a 6.5-point favorite in that one. NC State has taken a nosedive since Devin Leary was hurt. Their defense, their once vaunted defense, has never been able to hold up. That's going to be a Friday game as well.
I tell you another one that I'm looking at. It's much smaller on the priorities at this time of the year, which we wouldn't have expected, and that would be LSU, Texas A&M, because I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with the Aggies after this season ends on Saturday.
They're not firing Jimbo Fisher. The 12th man was not to be found after halftime last week.
I think he's lost the fan base. I think he's lost the locker room. You have a lot of recruits that are leaving all of a sudden. Their recruiting class went from number 1 in the country this past year. They're 17 right now. 17.
What did I predict?
They're losing a lot of it.
I predicted it would
now.
take 5 years for them to figure out Jimbo's a phony. But
this is
what
5
years.
We're on year 5, yeah, right? 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. There you go.
Got that right.
So I'm curious to see what happens with them after this game.
Kansas at Kansas State. Scott Reynolds certainly be interested in that. Kansas State, 11.5 points.
The Egg Bowl on Thanksgiving.
The Egg Bowl, yes. Ole Miss and Mississippi State. That should have a little juice to it with Lane Kiffin. Is he going to be around?
Lane Kiffin and Mike Leach.
So will he be around? That'd be the last game he coaches, because on Friday morning he's supposed to be on a plane to Auburn.
Apparently.
That's the reports that are out there. And don't forget the Coastal Carolina at James Madison rivalry. You can never forget that one.
Well, there's stakes there. Coastal Carolina has a chance to get into as the Group of 5 bid, and they got to win that game. So there is some stakes there, just to get blown out by Alabama.
Man, what a weekend of college football! It's the best of the best.
Every week.
It's
the
good
last
as it gets.
one of the season.
I know. Can you believe it's over? Can't believe it's over.
It's crazy.
And the college football playoff. Who do you got? I mean, what do you think? How do you think that ends up?
I think Georgia's won. I think Georgia's going to run the table here. Just don't think who they get this week. Georgia. Georgia Tech. Yeah.
35
LSU, I don't think is there yet to take down Georgia. Obviously, the winner of Ohio State, Michigan is going to get in. I'm going to go with Ohio State. TCU is. I at this point, I think I trust TCU to make it out undefeated. I think they get the 3 spot, and then the 4 spot. Do you give it to a 1-loss Michigan? Do you give it to a Pac-12 champion USC? Or do you give it to a
Georgia?
If LSU beats Georgia, then all hell's going to break loose here. That's the big thing. And then Clemson, they need that kind of stuff to get back into the conversation there. But even
Clemson
then,
has to resoundingly, and now the fact that South Carolina went and did that to Tennessee, that helps Clemson tremendously.
Yes, it
Clemson
does.
blows out South Carolina, or just beats them, relatively decisively, they're back in the mix, especially if Georgia were to lose to LSU. If TCU loses, and they've got to play Kansas State or Texas in the Big 12 championship game. So that's another chance to lose. I don't think UCSC can go through the whole gauntlet. So I think they're going to have 2 losses. And if Clemson moves into that,
just by default, they're just going to move up.
Yeah, and Clemson going to play North Carolina in the ACC championship game, so they'll have another chance to impress the voters.
I will say, if a scenario like that happens in Clemson, it comes down to like a Clemson or a 1-loss Michigan, I'm taking the Michigan. I just off the eye test, I think Clemson, it really has not been that impressive to me this year.
Their offense is just dreadful. It's just not good.
I don't care if they're going to win the ACC. I mean, it's
meaningless.
It's meaningless in my opinion.
Oh, that hurts me. In Tennessee, sorry, I think your time has passed. Sorry. And I don't think any of these other teams can get back into it. But if Clemson does get into the playoff, that means an FSU wins out. That means they're going to the Orange Bowl.
Yeah, so if you're an FSU fan, that'd be the best case scenario.
I think I might go to that game.
Well, Miami Orange Bowl.
I might go to the Orange Bowl. I haven't been back to South Florida, my hometown.
Well, right now,
probably 5-6 years.
Right now they're projected to face either Kansas State or Texas in the Cheez-It Bowl in Orlando.
I'd go to that.
So I mean, that'd be fine
Absolutely,
as well.
Yeah, anywhere in the state of Florida.
Imagine Florida State, Texas.
Ooh,
we don't get that every day.
For some reason, I think we played them. When is the last time we played Texas?
I don't recall. Maybe not. It's probably been a long time.
We played A&M in the 91 Cotton Bowl. I was there for that. It was freaking freezing. But Texas, I don't know. I don't know if we've ever played them.
That would be both teams would travel. That'd be great.
That'd be great fun. Yeah, absolutely. All right, that'll do it for our Wednesday edition here of our college football rivalry week preview. Oh, it's always a tough one. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Tomorrow's show, we're going to look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Going to do a little bit of a retrospect on their season. We'll also take a look at the Lightning and what they've done and where they're headed. We'll also take a look at the Rays. So we'll look at all of our 3 major franchises here in Tampa Bay and kind of give you a state of the franchise for our Thursday Thanksgiving show. So we hope you enjoy that Thursday, Friday, and the podcast all weekend long. And have a great Thanksgiving, everybody.